One.
Hello, I want to welcome everyone to our very first, the Conservative Conversation. I'm here with David Wall from Perkins, and I appreciate you being with me today.
Thank you.
I just want to have a lively conversation with you to try to get a feel for the people of your generation. And so I'll just listen to a couple of things down here, which we'll be asking you, okay? All right, first of all, we have known each other for about 4.5 years. We actually met at a Republican fundraiser that was at the Meditation Center back in 2017. Well, will you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is David Wall. I graduated from Perkins Trine High School in 2017. I live on a farm south of Perkins, and I've been involved with the Payne County Republican Party for about 5 or 6 years, and I just recently graduated from Oklahoma State University. And my hobbies, I like politics. I like to hunt, fish, trap, read, do a lot of different things like that, outdoor activities.
Great. Well, what does the term conservative or constitutional conservative mean to you?
To me, the term constitutional conservative means an individual or a movement that views the Constitution and through traditional social values or traditional or conservative economic principles. So, looking at the Constitution through originalism, the original intent of the Constitution, as well as applying that to today, and trying to figure out to make writing laws, executive orders, or regulations that actually concur with the Constitution as opposed to go against it. And as a conservative, well, we would believe in like traditional social values or conservative economic principles, free market capitalism. And I believe that when we look at the Constitution, we want to look at it at the original intent of the Constitution and what the founders meant when they wrote it, and apply that to today. So unfortunately, as we're seeing a lot with the progressive movement, the liberal movement, a lot of them don't really view the Constitution as a good document. They want to change it, they want to distort it, and they interpret things out of the Constitution that are totally different than what the Constitution actually meant. So that would include, decisions such as Roe versus Wade or Overbehold v. Hodges. A lot of these decisions that really, how can you get that out of the Constitution? And as a conservative and a constitutionalist, we believe in going back to the original intent. And I guess that also relates to the past election in November 3rd, 2020, or before then. There were a lot of secretaries of state and governors that they circumvented and went around their state legislatures and created their own election law, if you will. And really, if you read the Constitution, the state legislatures are in charge of managing the election and setting the rules for the election. So when these secretaries of state in states like Pennsylvania or Arizona or Wisconsin, Georgia, change the rules right before an election just because there's a crisis, that circumvents the Constitution, and that's one of the reasons that we had a lot of issues with this former election. And I believe that a lot of those people, Democrat secretaries of state, Democrat governors, were doing that in order to rig the system for their favor to benefit Joe Biden and the Democrats. So I guess going back to the original question, really it's conservative. We believe in traditional social values, conservative economic principles, and we want to also look at the original intent of the Constitution and see that through that lens as opposed to seeing it through through the liberal lens of trying to distort it, change it, and apply it to things that have nothing to do with what the Constitution originally meant.
Okay.
I'm sorry that was kind of a long answer, but
it was good.
It was. Thank you.
And as a new college graduate in your early 20s, are you a unique individual in this political culture that appears to be embracing so many different philosophies?
Well, if you look at polls, typically polls show that majority of young people between 18 and 29, college students, do favor things such as socialism or radical left policies. But I believe that there's also an inverse to that too, and I've been seeing a lot of people reacting to that negatively and trying to go to more traditional social values, traditional American values, and kind of pushing back against that liberal dogma that you might see on college campuses or on TV or with the current administration as well. So even though I would say probably a majority, unfortunately, are adopting philosophies such as socialism, even some more radical philosophies such as Marxism and communism, there is a pushback, and I think we're going to be seeing more of a pushback as the left and the liberals continue pushing that dogma forward. You're going to see more and more of a pushback, and we're seeing that, I think, all over the country, that there's younger people, there's organizations that want to put, support America first, support capitalism, support the Bible, traditional Christian morals. So I think hopefully we'll be able to see that more, and we can capitalize on that as a party, as Christians, and as we move forward.
Great. Yes. What did you receive your bachelor's degree at Oklahoma State University?
I received my bachelor's degree in natural resource ecology and management with an option in forest management.
Okay. Besides receiving your education in the field that you selected, what was the best thing that Oklahoma State University provided to you?
Well, I have to say, probably the organizations there at Oklahoma State campus. If you're a student there's an organization for just about anything, especially relating to your major or relating to other interests as well. And the resources, Oklahoma State offers a wide variety of resources, whether it's tutoring, whether it's the library resources. There's gyms, there's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of resources you can take advantage of there on campus. And I think finally my professors, I've never had a bad experience with a professor. They've always been really nice and helpful, and help you with jobs on campus, help you with internships, with reference letters. Overall, besides the academic, the diploma and academic career, there's camaraderie, there's community, and the professors are a really great resource there on campus.
Great. When you name one event that stands out most in your memory that relates to your time at OSU?
I'm not sure. There's so many events. I think probably some of the events that stand out to me the most are whenever I went on convention trips, for example. I went on some school trips relating to class. We went down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, went one to Oregon. So I've been to different trips like that where you get to network, meet people in your field of study, and get to meet a lot of new people, as well as with Republican groups. I got to go to CPAC one year. So I think the events that stand out to me the most are probably when you get to go out and network and meet people that either are in the same major as you, same field of study, or same beliefs, and you guys have something in common. I think that's probably some of the events that stand out to me the most. As of course, correlation with classes and field trips within classes and other events there.
Okay, great. Well, tell us about the conservative movement that you saw as a student at OSU.
Well, at OSU, I saw there's a College Republicans group. They're starting to become a Turning Point USA chapter, as well as there's other conservatives that work through student government and through these organizations. So we are seeing a conservative movement. I've talked to them. They have tables sometimes. I've talked to them. I've gone to a few of the Republican meetings there. So there is a conservative movement. I think that as a college in not just the Bible Belt, but in Oklahoma, which is the reddest state in the union. Every county went for President Trump twice and went for every Republican candidate. Not one county in Oklahoma has gone for a Democrat presidential candidate since Al Gore in 2000. So we are a very red state. We are in the Bible Belt. We're in a county that also gave over 60% of its vote to President Trump. I think that should, I'm not a student there anymore, but as students are going in and people, conservatives, that should be a goal for us to really push a really good conservative movement there on campus, because we have no excuses to being in such a red state, such a pretty red university, even though, most universities tend to be more liberal, but Oklahoma State, I'd say, is more conservative than most. But yeah, I think there is a movement there, and I hope to see it grow, and we, as Oklahoma, we don't have an excuse for not seeing it grow, in my opinion.
Well, what benefits, if any, do you see holding to your conservative views while you were a college student?
Well, probably structural benefits. There are very few structural benefits or academic benefits. I don't think there's a lot of academic benefits for being a conservative. In fact, not for me personally, but in some departments, it could be even an impediment. Holding on to your conservative views, it could actually hurt you, or people could not like you as much. I'm not saying that out of my personal beliefs or what I've personally experienced. I was in the ag college. It's pretty conservative there, and people are, there's a really good welcoming environment. But I'd say probably as a structural academic, there's not a lot of advantages. However, I think the one advantage you can have as holding on to conservative beliefs is that, well, knowing you're right, that you have the right beliefs, that you can have if you have a conservative lifestyle, you can have benefits from that, whether it's a hard work ethic, whether it's believing that, success is driven by you and by your resources as opposed to, well, I'm disadvantaged in this way or another. I think you can achieve more if you have a conservative mindset, a conservative belief, whether it's just pushing more on a good ethic of hard work. And I think as a Christian also, you have your faith and you believe that you have you don't believe in moral relativism, you believe in a moral superiority of the Bible and the Christian faith, and I think that helps you also guide your decisions. So I'd say overall, sometimes it can be hard for some people, depending on what department you're in, holding on to those conservative beliefs, but I think overall if you do, you will be rewarded in the end. And at the end of the day, I think we're right in this battle between ideas, conservative versus liberal, and if we're right, then we should continue to believe the right thing and to say the right things, irrelevant of whether or not it brings you financial, academic, or personal advantages at the time.
Yes, I agree. I actually want to say wow. I'm going to shift gears a bit here, okay? Does America offer opportunities your generation needs to succeed in life?
I think America as a country, as the principles of America, it does. We are a prosperous country. We have a lot of resources. There's a lot of good people in this country. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of movement from the left, the progressives, to try to push and radically change America. In fact, our former president, Barack Obama, he said, we want to fundamentally transform America. And Joe Biden has also said the same thing. He says he wants to change America, fundamentally change America. And to me, that shows that Joe Biden, he doesn't really like America or support America of its founding, of its core principles. Because if you want to fundamentally transform something, it's not that, we want to change a few things that are wrong or we don't agree with. No, it's fundamentally transform is saying you want to change it, totally overhaul it. And I don't think you can really love your country if you want to fundamentally transform it. At that point, well, maybe you should go to a country that fits your beliefs a little bit more. But I think as America was founding, what was based on the Constitution, that framework the Founding Fathers gave us, and the Christian principles it was founded on, it does give us the opportunity to succeed, especially through hard work. Unfortunately, we are seeing those values under attack, and that's part of this kind of conflict that we have currently in our political, spiritual, and personal warfare here in this country.
Okay. The way I see things when you're talking about the foundation of America, you basically sum up, in my opinion, on two basic things. One, the preamble of the Constitution, and the other, Declaration of Independence. And when you bring those two things together, you're basically saying the foundation is on the Bible and on our freedoms.
Yes.
And so, in my opinion, when you talk about changing the foundation of America, then you're basically talking about changing those two things.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yep, and of course there's been things in the past that have changed, but now, those foundational principles that you were talking about, that's what we need to base our policies and philosophy off of to really create a more successful country.
Yes. Okay, can you share 2 or 3 things our nation is doing right that can help your generation fulfill their dreams?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I'd say our nation as a whole, well, I'll go back to about a year or so ago, or 4 years ago. Under President Trump's leadership, the country was doing a lot of things to help people coming out into the workforce and going into getting plugged into the economy, whether it was, cutting down on open borders, which create higher wages and more opportunities, whether it's cutting regulation. President Trump cut, I think, almost 20 regulations for every one that was put in, whether it was cutting taxes. In fact, I think those tax cuts didn't go far enough, but whether it was all those economic principles, also the protectionists, the economic nationalism of putting our industry first before other industries and increasing the power and value of your citizenship, I think those policies that the former administration did, those did put America in a really good footing. And we had higher wages, we had more jobs, more opportunities, people getting from welfare to jobs, and then the plague hit, the COVID pandemic hit, and that everything started going down after that, primarily because it was self-induced. It was lockdowns created by Democrat and some Republican governors, and that's really what hit our economy and made it go down. But under President Trump's leadership, we were seeing a V-shaped recovery. We were coming out of it. We were seeing those jobs coming back, and he was managing our economy the right way. And I think he set really good principles in order to really push America, and they were doing a lot of things the right way. Fortunately, the current administration has taken a turn. They believe that massive spending and throwing money, wasting money, that's the way to go, and that's created inflation. Now we have a gas crisis. Now we have open borders. Now we have, less peace in the Middle East. And all those factors, we are seeing this administration, I'm not seeing anything that they're doing to truly put America in a good footing and truly provide good opportunities. However, on a positive note, our Governor Kevin Stitt, and other governors throughout the country, they've been doing a lot of good work, whether it's on the economy, whether it's cutting taxes, cutting the income tax, whether it's banning critical race theory, which harms students, teaches people that some people are better than others and others can't get ahead because of certain innate characteristics. And he's getting rid of that and trying to teach true American history, teach American history where we can all get ahead, and what people's value does come from the Creator, and it's not that some people are better than others, it's that we can all work together. And I think critical race theory, banning that's a very harmful theory and a very harmful thing to be teaching the children. And I think that's one thing that he's really doing to help out students and help out people coming into the workforce, as well as the economic incentives. For example, just last week, the governor, he's going to cut the federal employment benefits, but at the same time give a $1,200 incentive for people to get back to the workforce. So I think that's a really good thing to do to get people from depending on the government to working and contributing to the economy. In contrast, from our governor, the current resident in the White House, he's been trying to do the opposite. He wants to get people dependent on the government. And it's all political. I mean, he thinks more people dependent on the government means more votes, and some aspects he might be right, but I don't think what they're doing in the administration is not the right thing. But what I'm seeing with what the governor's doing, with what the legislature's doing, there's a lot of good movement to equip people and to really create a good economy for people going into the workforce.
Okay. Well, recently you shared with me that you will be moving to the East Coast. And I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for you. It's sad to see you go. Tell us about your new position.
Yeah, so I'll be working with a timber company. I'm a forestry major, and I'll be working with a timber company, and most of what they do, they manage a lot of timberland out in the Carolinas, and what they do is they harvest trees and then they replant it to create a sustainable resource. So you plant trees and then you cut them down and you provide the markets and the people production. You produce wood for America, for the country, for a growing economy, and even for some exports. And you replant that to create a sustainable system where you're using this resource wisely and you're creating jobs, you're providing a good service, providing a good economic service as well as a good environmental service. So I think what I'll be working out there with helping manage that timberland and help produce more lumber, help bring to the market a lot more products. I'm excited about that job, even though I'll miss it here in Oklahoma and miss you guys, but I'm sure I'll be back to visit.
Okay. Can you tell me how you learned about that position out there in the Carolinas?
Yeah, so on Oklahoma State, there's career fairs, and I got with the company on an internship, and I did 2 internships for the summer 2019, summer 2020, and after that I rolled into a full-time job. So that's another thing about Oklahoma State provided, not just the classes and textbooks and that kind of stuff. It also provides a way to connect with employers, which is important if you're in college, to be able to connect with employers and see where you want to go and meet people and network.
Yes. So I'm going to shift gears once more a little bit here, because we're pretty much heading into our very last few questions. What advice do you have for graduating high school seniors and for incoming freshman college students?
Well, I'd say to get involved with the organizations relating to your major, with clubs that hold the same interests as you. Of course, get involved with a Christian ministry group, a church group, as well as if you're a conservative, get involved with a conservative group. I've been involved with the local Republican Party here, and I've also gone to a few of the meetings at the College Republican. So I think it's good to get involved, meet people, network, not just to be there for classes, which is obviously should be your priority, but also go out there and try to meet people with the same interests as you and the same philosophies. And I think that's my main advice would be just to get involved.
Okay. Is there anything that I have not brought up so far that you feel in your heart you'd like to share with our viewers?
Oh, well, yeah. I want to thank Dr. Means and Mrs. Means for having me on as for the first interview, and I appreciate all the work you guys are doing, and I'm excited to see where the County Republican Party goes. I think we're seeing a lot more growth within. Now the precincts are getting more active. The county's doing a lot of things, whether it was like the Law Enforcement Day, convention, the state convention, and now as we're growing, I'm excited to see what happens next. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Okay. And now, would you speak directly to the audience and share some encouraging words, something that you want to leave with them?
Wow. Well, I think I guess I'll shift back to a more political topic. I think right now it's kind of depressing seeing what's happening with the administration. Republicans are locked out of power nationally for the most part, but I still believe that there's still a lot of hope. And President Trump might be out of the White House. However, he is still the leader of our party, in my opinion,
yes.
and about 85% of Republicans' opinions. There's people, of course, the Cheneys and other the Romneys. They think there's some sort of civil war in the party. There's not a civil war in the party. The media tries to foment that, but really the party is 90% united behind President Trump, behind America First policies and conservative candidates. The civil war is going on maybe with strategists and lobbyists in D.C., but in real America, there is no civil war in the GOP. We're all firmly behind the president. And I think with his leadership, with the leadership of other new conservative leaders, we're going to see a revival. We're already seeing a big backlash against this administration. In the midterms, I'm excited about what's going to happen in the midterms. I think the American voters will send a resounding indictment on the current administration by giving us majorities in the House and the Senate. And I think as Republicans, we want to put good conservative candidates out there. And I'm excited about what's going to happen in the next couple of years. And in 4 years, we'll take back the White House we'll see who. I mean, you never know, but I think there's going to be the comeback. President Trump will make a comeback. And I think that just we need to stay active, stay plugged in, stay informed, and keep working hard. And I'm sure it's going to turn around. We might be locked out of power nationally, but one good thing about having this current individual in the White House is Republican legislatures and Republican governors are really stepping up. Some of them are, not all of them, but most of them are stepping up to the plate. And we're seeing a lot of conservative legislation being passed, a lot of stuff being signed, a lot of good momentum. And I'm excited to see what happens next. But yeah, I think that would be it.
Yes. Well, thank you for that encouraging word. And
I
really appreciate you coming here today and being the first in our conversation, conservative conversation, and it has been an excellent one. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and you have a blessed day.